Here's the cinder block building that we're going to be talking about. It was a public restroom that was put in, they think, in the 1960s, about 1968. It's not ADA compliant. This is Tillery back this way, 12th Street back off this way. There are burials around here, but if you look over this direction here, there are no burials past that line there. Everything else that way hasn't been platted yet because it was part of where the old house site was. The bathrooms were gross. You can see the sinks were rusting. The toilets constantly leaked. The water, you can see here the water just coming through here and things constantly backed up. So it would be a year later before I found the sewage leak. The summer of 2008, it was really hot, and I went over to Evergreen Cemetery where they weren't watering and found a green spot. I discovered that there was a sewage leak. And so that started a conversation that closed that bathroom and then led to the city hiring a private contractor and coming in and putting in a whole new sewer line and abandoning the old sewer line. And so here's some of the conversations I found. In June 26th, please tell me what's going on in the repair of the restroom at the cemetery. A private citizen stated that he's trying to get help get it fixed and cannot get the support it needs from the city of Austin. I do not understand why a private citizen is having to repair a COA restroom. And this is from Rudy Garza. Stuart Strong was the then director of the Parks Department. I don't remember Greg or George Calhoun or Devon Marigold. There's a revolving door of people coming and going from the city of Austin constantly. And so CG, which is, who was that? George Calhoun replied back that there's a cinder block building at the Evergreen Cemetery site. The toilet was flush with some water came up through a 1.5-inch pipe just outside the building. That's wrong. It was 70 feet away. Dale Flatt put red dye in the toilet, flushed it, red dye came out of the pipe. This pipe was capped. No, it was a broken line further down. However, no one knows where the restroom wastewater goes. Dale Flatt is of the opinion the lines run out of the restroom into a drain field. He has asked the assistance of Austin Water Utility to find where the wastewater goes after leaving the restroom. When we arrived on site, there was no way found to gain ready access to the drain line and run a camera in. The only way we have now is to take the toilet off the floor and run the pipe to the floor. They note that I was, at that time, an Austin Fire Department employee. Byron was working for the independent contractor, Intercare Corporation, who managed the cemeteries at that time, had the contract. They're helping locate the pipe, yaddy, hopes this helps. So that's George on June 26th. And then everybody starts talking about what's going on, of course. I think it's imperative that somebody from PARD work with Austin Wastewater to get this fixed. We need to ensure we have a working restroom that meets our own codes and one that is on our system. Again, they don't know if this thing is hooked up to the system or not. They don't know that it's part of an old septic field and sewer line from an old house from 1930s. We're aware of the situation and will be involved however needed. Follow advice from the Water Wastewater. Again, this is Stuart Strong. We're on board to help you resolve this problem. Everybody is patting themselves on the back. And so that was the conversation that led everything off. Now, I've only got 5 pages. Those are the first 2. Robert Brennis, I guess, on July 1st, said, Larry Houston and I visited the site yesterday, and a building services crew was in the process of locating the route, the wastewater service from the restroom. It was determined that the plumbing work was done in 1968, had bypassed a septic tank, and rerouted the service to pass by a house that is no longer there. The house was torn down in the 1980s. It was the old caretaker's house, put in there in the 1930s. The camera came to a stop approximately 70 feet south of the restroom. That's about where the break was that I noticed the green spot from. It wasn't right outside like they initially assumed. It is believed the surface then angles southwest to a corner of an old house where the pipe break is visible. Before continuing on to the manhole, they have no idea what manhole. Mark Hill submitted paperwork with a sketch to Carolyn Lindy. I also received a cemetery plat from Mark Hill showing the preferred new route, which would avoid the proposed grave sites. I wanted to forward this information to you and ask on how to proceed. Again, Robert is with Planning, Design, and Construction. Here we have, I did a public information request. It's a really only way for the public to understand what's going on is use a state process in order to look and see what they have, or else they won't give it to you. And so Brandon Bailey tells me that he looked the address up numerically along Tillery and East 12th Street. He found one more water tap for 3310 East 12th Street, which he'll send to an email. But again, it's a water tap, not a sewage tap. I have not found a permit for the caretaker's house or garage. I do not know when the house was built, but their permit history begins in the 1930s. I have not found a demolition permit for the house or garage either. Very common. The city of Austin does not follow their own rules and regulations. They just do what they want to do. And I explained to him there was a caretaker site on the house. It's visible in the 1981 aerial photograph, but it's gone in the 1984 photograph. The garage is also visible in both of these and was demolished probably 5 years ago. So back to our 2007 photograph. So they did put in a new sewer line. There is and has been a handicapped restroom parked outside of this building since 2008. So for 12 years, the public has been paying for a handicap restroom to sit outside of this thing. When I asked about why don't we just bulldoze this thing down, take out the old septic tank, and put in a single ADA bathroom, I was told that cost would be in the neighborhood of $250,000. You can build a house for $250,000. You would think that the city of Austin would have more sense than to just abandon an old sewage line, wait a couple of years, not do anything about removing the sewage line, put a new one in, and then replat that area, wait a couple of years, and then start selling the last remaining corner of Evergreen Cemetery so they can meet the needs of the public. But the public doesn't know that there's an old sewer line out that way. The city has no idea when it was put in. They had no desire to take it out. They put a new one in, and it was business as normal.